well, without any further ado, three, two, one, Hector, action. Thank you so much for joining me today on this week's episode of Venture City.
No, thank you for having me.
Awesome. Well, again, really excited to get a little more into it with you, but would love to kick things off by learning more about you. So tell listeners a little bit about yourself and a little bit about your background and what you're doing with Z1.
Yeah. Well, a super rapid summary will be that I studied computer science and telecommunication engineering, but I have been always very creative. I mean, I'm a musician too, so when I started working, it was like pre Airbnb, so pre design on internet, right? So it was more about development and engineering. But at the same time, I started seeing like some trends on paying attention on design, interfaces, graphic design, and overall. So I started like doing some stuff in my spare time about being a designer as well. So in a given time, I joined a startup as the first employee, and I designed and built the first version of the app. It was a platform similar to Airbnb actually. So that was like a super fast, I don't know, like product MBA or something. It was like 1 year and a half doing a ton of stuff. And that also was like an experience to craft what we define as the vision of Z1 and how we build this studio, right? From the learnings of that experience.
That's awesome. Well, that leads me perfectly into my next question. Yeah. Can you tell me a little more specifically about why you started Z1 and, what you learned from your prior experiences at that startup company that, sparked you wanting to, venture out on your own?
Yeah, so in the early days, I started working on a consultancy company and those big ones, right? And,
Yeah.
those are about budgets, spreadsheets, and things like that. Then I work in this startup from the inside and the product, the daily basis, focus on the same user, same products and that. So there was a personal motivation about being free to start my own business with a partner, my partner Carlos. And and also it was about the experience that where I was building this product internally. I needed some help because we couldn't recruit a lot of people, and it was very difficult to find the right agency or the right contractor to help us with some specific things like mobile experience or some UI design or things like that, right? So when I decided to jump into founding the studio, everything was defined around that persona, right? The early stage founder, the early stage team working on a product that needs augmentation of skills, but also experience and capacity on bringing ideas and solutions, because you are doing a lot of stuff at the same time super rapidly, and you need experience and help overall, right? So
Yeah.
I would say that if we should summarize the vision of Z1, is helping other founders to build their experiences. And the last thing was about, working on one product is amazing, but you are only focused on one industry, probably one type of user, two type of users. And I like the idea of having this type of, a myriad of products around us, working in different verticals and that. So a services company has, cons as well, but the pros are around, knowing a lot of people in different markets and that's finally an amazing experience as well.
That's awesome. Yeah. And I to kind of expand on that a little bit too, what I see from my vantage point, and you could correct me if I'm wrong, but it seems like what you really give founders back is their time, right? To focus on their core mission. So can you tell me, I mean, maybe expand on that too, right? Like what
Yeah.
exact problem is Z1 solving?
Yeah, actually, you nail it with that. I mean, like, time is something that we always try to give as well, right? Because sometimes you have to make decisions or recruit people, and you could do it, right? Like, there's sometimes it's a matter of money, but I mean, it's a matter of having enough time to make the right hires and hire a design team, engineering team, marketing team, product team. But honestly, in real life, I mean, probably that's not possible, and you need to achieve like certain milestones and easier, faster, right? So what we wanted to craft was a team with a product mindset, because the traditional agencies were more about, design agencies, like delivering some pixels, or dev shops like building code. But we also know from my own experience and some research we did in our network was about, also needing someone to understand your business, to understand your users, your product, in order to provide solutions that are applicable from day one, right? I mean, we always say that we don't own the decisions, or our clients own the decisions, but
I
we
like that.
guide them a lot on how to make those decisions, right? Because we are experts on building these experiences. So that's also very valuable when you are trying to pull a lot of, like strings from all the places in a startup. Having an experienced team around you that can help in different parts of the product, it's very valuable, and it's what we have validated through the years, right? So also in the practice, what we try to do is, as well, is to avoid that legacy or traditional client vendor relationship about contracts, specs, scope creep, and things like that. So we have been always trying to be very creative on creating engagements where we're more focused on value, trying to be true partners about the timing, on invoicing, on resourcing, and things like that. So I mean, there are a lot of nitpicking stuff around how to craft those amazing partnerships, but finally the overall model needed to be redesigned.
And tell me what you are doing differently that other studios are not. Like, what gap are you seeing that you can specifically solve?
Yeah, I think that's easy to summarize by one of our statements that we have internally, that is we're more focused on outcome than
Oh, I like
output.
that.
Yeah, because as an agency or a services company, you can always claim that you deliver certain outputs, like, "Hey, I did a Figma prototype," or "I built this stuff," right? Here you have the code, right? But if that's meaningless for the startup or the founder, I mean, what's the point, right? So, what we try to do always is, like, from the first call we have with our prospects, like trying to understand what they're trying to build, what budget they have, the timing they're managing, and even from the previous calls, trying to help them with this strategy, right? With the feature prioritization, with the scope management, with the tech stack, the design needs, right? So it's more about being a product partner that has design and engineering skills, more than an agency that delivers some resources, right? So every time that we try to position ourselves is around that, like we're experts in building experiences, but always focus on the business side of things, right? Like trying to really help, honestly, balancing between investment and impact. We, with the money we have from these funders or companies, we want to deliver the maximum impact possible for the end user, but also for their businesses.
That's awesome, especially because too you've had that startup experience, right? So you know what it takes to almost bootstrap in a way. So I'm curious to understand, since you work with so many different founders, what challenges do you see founders facing in this space and how do you help them overcome them?
Yeah, I mean, the main one probably is hiring, right? Or more than hiring, to making the right hires, right? And
Okay.
at the specific moments of the company, right? So there are some specific moments or stages where is the right moment to have your in-house team working specific things, but also is important to have some external help on a specific part of the product as well, right? For example, we help a lot of AI or fintech or crypto companies that they have usually a very solid backend team, internal team. We help them usually with design and front end work, right? And it's a perfect augmentation of their own skills, right? But also about design, right? It's very difficult to find design support that also understand business, right? Actually, there are
Yeah.
a lot of curriculums, a lot of learning platforms out there about being a business savvy designer, right? Because it's very important that when you're proposing a solution, that solution has to be feasible, viable. It has to deliver value, right? So it's important to have the right partner at that part in order to help you craft the experience you need, and not just crafting something for drivel, right? So that's also important. But as well, I would say that with different founders that we have, because we have different experiences from founders that they were like almost 2 4 people and the rest of the team was like set one for the whole journey until an exit, and others that we just perform a V1 and then they build their internal team and we just helping others. So we have the two extremes. Um, Honestly, what is more important is to understand what is the value of having an external part helping you, right? If you understand that, I mean, you can take a lot of advantage of having the right team beside you working with you, right? I mean, when founders tend to go to legacy terms as vendors or contractors, full-time resources and things like that, probably things are getting messier. But if these people understand how we can help them accelerate what they're trying to build, the finally is a great win. And it's sometimes a good way to bring a lot of experience from a compounded learning that we had from other experiences directly to their product. For example, if we have integrated some third-party tools like I don't know, payment tools or security tools or something, when we're working on a new product that needs something similar, I mean, we don't need research, right? We know how to do it rapidly, and that's probably, if you're not a super technical founder, takes a lot of time, right, to make that decision, right? So that type of things, if you find the right partner, can be an acceleration of your process.
Wow, that's awesome. Yeah, and you do this in such a way that's really efficient for founders too. So, you are that package solution in a lot of ways. You tailor that solution to every founder that you work with, which I think
Exactly.
is, yeah, super valuable. So, do you have any other pieces of advice that you'd like to share with founders before we go?
Yeah, sure. Well, something that we see every single day, and it sounds maybe counterintuitive for the owner of an agency, right? But sometimes we are pushing back on building a lot of stuff, right? So we are super focused on building nimble experiences. We really prefer to have less flows, less screens, less interactions, and craft them delightfully, right? And that's usually way better than trying to build a lot, right? So I know that there are like millions of articles out there about MVP, prioritization, jobs to be done, value, and that. But even though, even for us, right, when I'm thinking about products and things like that for my own side projects, I fall in the same trap, right? So it's an exercise that all of us need to do, is like prioritizing, like understanding the main jobs to be done to be performed by the users, and trying to craft the simplest way to deliver something valuable to the market, right? So that's something that, even as a services company, that we work with these founders in an ongoing base, is something that we are always mentoring and teaching to our network and to our clients, in order to being like doing like some baby steps, like
Yeah.
delivering less value increments, but in more increments, right? That's always better than trying to think and overthink about the features that you need to validate something.
Yeah, no, I really like that too. And you want to be building mindfully. You don't want to be just creating this solution or whatever that people aren't going to use or engage with. So you just, again, like want to deliver the most to your clients. So I think that's a really great approach. I love that.
Yeah, and also, I mean, we're always very long-term thinkers. So
Yeah.
even thinking about our account management process, what we have seen is that instead of taking, I don't know, like 200K, right, on a project, we prefer to have like 100K first, nail it with the minimum requirements. That company becomes more successful, and then we go to the next 100K, right? That's
I like
always a
that.
better process than taking everything and say like, yeah, let's build it, let's build everything, and then realize that maybe you built it the wrong thing, or you took too much time, right? So
Mhm.
the final is a I think, well, at the end of the day, is lean startup, agile, and all this approaches that have been out there for 10 years. But it's always good to remember that we have to, prioritize properly and build the minimum scope possible to validate our ideas.
I like that a lot. I like that a lot. And I hope that, founders that are listening out there today will take your advice I'm going to be sure to link everything in the show notes. So that way, if anyone is interested in your services and hopefully can partner up with you, they'll have all
Yeah,
the resources to do that. But thank you so much for this conversation, Hector. This is awesome. I appreciate it.
it was great. Thank you for having me.